Good morning, everybody. My name is Darlene Rondo. I'm the Vice President, Best Practices for Leonardo's Online Merchandising Group, and I'll be your host for today's special event. We're really excited to be talking about search engine optimization today, specifically the major factors that impact your website's search engine rankings and how you can leverage SEO to reach travelers online, get your website in front of more people, and drive direct bookings. So welcome to everyone around the globe. And to those for whom it's the middle of the night, and sometimes that is the case, a special thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping items before we begin. First, we'll be recording the webinar, and at the conclusion of today's session, we'll send you a thank you for joining us email with a link to the recording, which you can share or listen to again at your leisure. Additionally, you have a questions dialog box in your GoToMeeting panel. I see some of you have already found it. So as we move through our discussion today, please feel free to send in your questions and we'll address them throughout our webinar as well as at the end of the presentation. We're also going to be tweeting during today's discussion, so please feel free to join in the conversation at #LeoWebinar. And before we begin, as we usually do, I'd like to conduct a poll from the audience. And what I'd like to do is ask everybody, what do you want to understand most about SEO today? So just click the radio button that matches most closely to your answer. So you have 4 to choose from. The first is how to improve my search engine rankings. Secondly, how mobile impacts search engine optimization. Third, how social media impacts search engine optimization. And lastly, just all of the above. You're really interested in learning about all of those things. So I'll let the audience weigh in for a minute or so and get everybody to vote. And when the majority of folks have voted, we will close the poll. So right now, about 75% of you have voted, and it looks like, by and large, the audience is really interested in all of the above, which is kind of what we expected everyone to say, because we know there are a lot of questions out there. So I'm going to close that poll, and we are going to continue with the presentation. So first, I'd like to introduce a special guest, Marco Braggio. Marco is a sought-after SEO expert and is the co-founder and managing partner at Braggio Cook Interactive, a data-informed SEO company based in Toronto. Marco has worked successfully over a number of years implementing SEO strategies to organically improve clients' websites, visibility, traffic, and ultimately return on investment. He's also the mastermind behind Leonardo's SEO content. And you might have seen the SEO guide and scorecard he created that we published last week, and actually you can find that on our website, because it gives hotels an in-depth look at SEO basics for their hotel website as support for today's presentation. Marco is also the online product manager of SEO at Walmart Canada. Prior to Walmart, Marco was also the lead SEO specialist at DAC Group, a leading digital and directory agency in the U.S. and Canada. Welcome, Marco. Really good to have you here today. I'd also like to introduce our second special guest, Alicia Whalen. Alicia is a leading digital media strategist with over 10 years of experience in social media marketing, SEO, and content marketing. She specializes in tourism and destination marketing, and Alicia is the co-founder of the social media aggregation tool #Hashtagio.com and the idea incubator and digital marketing blog ideahatching.com. She's also the producer and co-founder of the Online Reveal Digital Marketing Conference for Tourism, which is an annual event that brings together tourism and digital marketing professionals. A well-known thought leader, Alicia also directed the DMO online benchmarking program in Canada, partnering with 22 Canadian destinations to benchmark success in marketing tourism destinations. She's a regular speaker at travel and technology conferences, and she's also worked with some of the big brands like Yahoo, Facebook Canada, BlackBerry, Via Rail, and others. Welcome, Alicia. Also really good to have you with us today. So before I let Marco take over the mic, I'd like to share some important points about search engine optimization and why it actually matters to your hotel website. To create an effective SEO strategy, you really need to understand how travel shoppers are searching for your hotel online. Worldwide, there are over 131 billion web searches each month, and more than 85% of today's travelers start their search online. Search engines are a part of the magic to getting your hotel found on the web, and some of the essential factors that impact SEO, which we'll discuss momentarily, are the quality and quantity of your website content, mobile optimization, social media presence, and of course, links, keywords, and the like. SEO is a really big topic, and we won't cover everything today. Consider this your starting point to understand some of the most important factors for search engine optimization to help you improve your rankings and traffic. Now, at this point, I'd like to reintroduce Marco Braggio and let him take it from here. Marco?
Thanks, Darlene. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Just want to thank Leonardo also for hosting and inviting me to the session. And let's go. Let's start.
Yes, there you go.
Just a quick intro. So what is SEO? So it's in its pure form definition, we can all read it. Search engine optimization is the process, marketing, and technical of getting qualified traffic from organic, editorial, or natural search results within search engines. Okay, so what does that mean? So how do we get qualified traffic? To answer that, let's just take a step back and really understand how search engines work. Without knowing how search engines works, we probably won't be able to get the visibility and the rankings that we're looking for. So search engines essentially have two major functions. It's crawling and building an index with crawlers or spiders across the billions of documents, pages, files, videos, and media online. This in turn provides answers to users' queries with a ranked list of websites search engines have determined are the most relevant. So essentially, any search engine you're using has a crawler that goes out, gathers information about all the content they can find on the internet. The crawlers bring all those ones and zeros back to the search engine to build an index. And that index is then fed through an algorithm that tries to match all the data with the user's query. Search engines are motivated by three basic elements: accessibility, relevance, and usability. So the accessibility of a destination page or website defines the ease with which a search engine can index it and make a determination of where it fits within a grand scheme of things. So the back image that you're seeing is basically how search engines view your websites. It's more of a pure text form with some images. It doesn't show the fancy customer-facing website. Now, relevance and user experience of the destination determine how well the page aligns with the searcher's expectations. After all, like a poor user experience or irrelevant content will make a user doubt the veracity of the results the search engine serves up. So, and what this allows is basically the search engines will weigh the websites, and the outcome is something like this typical search engine results page where you have paid and organic listings. So if we look at organic search first, organic search results are links that appear for free based on search engine algorithm, and that's the green highlighted content. And so on average, 83% of all online traffic for search engines comes from SEO. SEO traffic has no media costs and can provide a substantial ROI, return of investment, and higher than most channels. SEO converts better than other channels due to the fact that the rankings often convey trust from the search engine. These are natural links, they're not paid media. SEO has global reach and hyperlocalization that can bring in new and unexpected customers from all corners of the world. Now, if we look at versus paid search, these are links that advertisers pay to list on different search engines, which may appear on top, bottom, or side of a search engine results page. So that's the pink area. 17% of traffic from search engines come from PPC, so a lot less than organic. Spending can get out of hand quickly with little return, but using PPC can actually help your marketing by quickly identifying your best performing keywords while implementing a longer term SEO strategy, and which will increase the chances of ranking well in the organic listings.
Hey,
Well,
Marco.
SEO does, yeah.
Marco, Paul from our audience has a question. He wants to know how do you balance paid ads with the organic search?
Great question, Paul. So when you're first starting out in SEO, and if you're not ranking for the terms that you're looking for naturally organically, you generally will start a bit of a paid search campaign potentially to sort of bring that awareness of your brand so people start recognizing and finding your website. As your organic ranking starts increasing once you're doing those long-term strategies and efforts, you sort of start dialing back a little bit on your paid campaign. And as your rankings increase, you don't want to cannibalize yourself at the end of the day, because if you're number one, why spend X amount of dollars to be ranking or to be listed in the paid search? And it all depends also within the industry and what's going on with the competition. So there's other factors you need to consider, but definitely there can be a balance. It's just try not to cannibalize yourself at the end of the day.
Thanks, Marco.
Free talk is, yeah, no problem. So now that is all said and done. Okay, so when you think of a search engine as a website, you visit to a page or speak a question to Google, Yahoo, Bing, or whatever search engine you're using. But have you ever stopped to consider what exactly it is that's behind that magical list of links? So SEO can be divided into two major disciplines. We have on-page and off-page, plus each discipline has further subspecialties that require their own set of techniques. So when we're looking at on-page and off-page, in most cases you don't want to put the horse before the cart, because an off-page SEO initiative may not result may result in marginal return if your home or website isn't in order. So let's just take a quick look at some of the on-page elements. So if we're start from the top left corner, duplicate content marketing. So basically monitor your own content for duplication and don't copy others. So it's essentially a virtual sin within SEO or search engine optimization. Site architecture and coding. So your site structure and best-in-class coding principles goes a long way in how your site is perceived by the search engines. Conversions and goals. Measuring success through analytics helps with informed decisions. If you don't know what your traffic is doing or how you're converting or what kind of adjustments you can do, then you've already lost. Having rich media, so having videos and images, not just text, helps with customer engagement. Site uptime, ensuring a website or a web host doesn't crash, because obviously if your site isn't up and running anymore, Google won't find it, or neither your customers. How long a web page, so site speed, how long a web page takes to serve up the user. So time essentially is money. The faster your site is from loading, it has been correlated that your conversions can increase. And then keywords and content marketing, relevant, unique, engaging content that speaks to your customer. So now looking at off-page, off-page probably accounts for about 75% of the work for SEO. It's all about building a website's authority online through inbound signals. It's about quality relevancy to your website, which will establish your SEO authority and ultimately influence your rankings.
Hey, Marco.
Some of the strategies, yes?
Kathy has a question about something you just said, signals, inbound signals. Can you explain what that means, please?
Yeah, well, that's part of the inbound signals, so I was going to go into that onto the off-page, but inbound signals essentially is Google being able to determine the relevance or authority of your website through how others are perceiving your content or your website. So if I have a hotel website and I'm on TripAdvisory and someone's talking about TripAdvisory and then links to my website, that's a signal to Google saying, hey, I trust, or I trust this. The user trusts my website, and so the more sort of inbound signals in that way through either social even, it's sort of a clue to Google saying, okay, this is a trusted source. A lot of people are visiting. People are linking to the website.
Okay, great. Thanks, Marco.
No problem. So if we're looking at the off-page, I'm going to reiterate a little bit there, is link building, so getting inbound signals in which a site of how search engines evaluate your online presence. And then mobile optimization. it's equal, if not bigger, than desktop use now. If your website isn't mobile friendly and easy to use, you pretty much probably lost the game at this point. It's not too late to start, but it's a really big importance right now. Localization in Google Hotel Finder. Ensure that your content has local intent and optimize for local searches like same-day check-ins. If you're in Google Hotel Finder, your customer, if you're not in Google Hotel Finder, your customer is booking elsewhere, essentially. So if we're looking at blog articles and press releases, content distribution through press releases, blogs, articles will help build your online authority and relevancy. So the more content you have outside, and it could be reach media or regular articles, the more signals Google picks up on. Social optimization, so it's generate publicity to increase the awareness of a product, brand, or event. And so the biggest shift, and I left out keyword research. So topic association, the biggest shift of SEO is keyword matching to topic association. Search engines are getting smaller and understanding the search intent. So for example, the best way is to show you an example. For instance, if you're Googling the term movie with time traveling phone booth, Google will actually serve you up the Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure movie link. Because again, it's about understanding about the user intent and being very, having those synonyms that Google understands and the relevancy of what you're looking for. All right, so now we'll go into social. So social media has allowed business to create meaningful connections with customers about products, services, and by having an open dialogue online with users. And so social media influences SEO in several different ways. So through link potential, spreading the word especially promotes your content to a much wider audience, increasing the possibilities that will be shared by others. Personalization. Since search results are personalized for anyone logged into Google and localized for everyone that is not, this varies the actual results that are presented to each searcher. Socially engaged users are building a personalized profile, and those results can match your efforts. Search query volume. Getting out there in the world of social builds your brand's credibility, authority, and affinity. Begin to get your logo, your faces out to a wider audience, and recognition will drive buyers to you. Brand signals. Social media has the ability to create awareness of brands, spur conversations, and co-citation mentions either in blog or website content, and drives higher quality website traffic. So social media drives real traffic to your website, traffic that is high quality. If someone is engaged with your company or brand on social media, then there is an obvious connection or interest. These are the types of visitors that eventually turn into customers. Duke University actually had an interesting study to show that social media spending will more than double in the next 5 years. Social media can give you that faster reach compared to other platforms, and if you're completely engaged with such channels, you can get a lot more benefits.
Marco, that kind of ties to a question Melody has. She wants to know, what's the best way to get inbound links from other authoritative sites?
See, link building used to be a strategy or a tactic, I would say, even 5 years ago, where you can contact a website, and so that today, and see if they're willing to if you can do a blog post or an article or host information. But what it is more or less today is about content marketing. It's creating content, engaging content, shareable content that users find through your social presence, just through other news outlets, and people starting to engage with it and linking back to it, or putting that article on their website and giving you sort of the credits. There are different strategies on how to go about that. It's link building or get that sort of interaction is a whole other discussion.
But sort of that's kind of a... It's Alicia here. I can add to that a little bit from the hotel perspective. Generally, what I recommend is to even be at the very granular level, contacting your local destination marketing organizations or even your larger brand hotels to provide keyword hyperlinks back to your site. Obviously, link building is about driving target keyword links back to the site so that Google knows that you're the right authority on your subject. So, even some of your local area attractions. If you're putting area attractions or F&B outlets on your website, it's always good to kind of ask for that reciprocal link if it makes sense. But big building as it used to be, as Marco said, you've got to be careful with it.
Yeah, thanks, Marco and Alicia, and thanks for the great questions coming in from the audience, and keep those questions coming. So we're going to move on now to mobile isn't a trend.
Yeah. So if you haven't started thinking about mobile, really start today. There's been a lot of changes lately with mobile. And just some stats to show you with mobile. So 95% of smartphone users have looked for local information. 77% of smartphone users contact a business after looking for local info. And 59% of mobile users who look for local info visit the business on the same day. Mobile is big. It's actually it's growing exponentially, and with over 45% of organic traffic now mobile, it's time to rethink about our priorities. It's easier to build for mobile than to scale for desktop. Content, so taking a device agnostic approach. So basically, the content should be optimized for iPhone and Android. Well, what about BlackBerry? Yes, people still use them, they exist, but then there's also iPads and tablets. By taking a device agnostic approach, content that's built that is optimized for all major mobile operating systems has a very large impact. Simplified content. So condense content and simplify with what's called a responsive design. So basically, responsive design is just the way that a website is formatted on a mobile device. And marketers should really consider the volume of content available on a mobile version. And the responsive design helps restrict content only to the most relevant for those accessing mobile devices, and make it navigable. The navigation on a hand screen or touch tablet is inherently different than navigation on a traditional website. Just remember to consider the difference in site optimized for touch instead of for a click. So for example, if your links are too close together and someone's trying to tap, they might be tapping the wrong one or nothing's happening. And then just consider some of the stats for a bad mobile website. So the number one reason people don't use or don't get traffic is the websites are hard to see, read, or navigate a mobile device, and it takes too long to book on a mobile device because the pages are slow. Going back to site speed, and there's a few more other stats here. One other thing I don't have here because it just happened the other day and prepared this deck a little bit ahead of time, but I'm not sure if anyone's aware about the mobile update that Google released on the 21st. So essentially 2 days ago. It's basically an update to their mobile algorithm, which basically indicates to users searching on a mobile device if a site is mobile friendly. So what does that mean? There's no actual negative impact if you don't have a mobile designation within the search, but if your competitors do, you'll move up in the rankings and you'll start moving down. So it's better to start thinking on how you can get to mobile now, and then because sooner or later it's probably going to reach the 70–80% of mobile searches comparatively to desktop.
Excellent. Thanks, Marco. And I'm glad you mentioned the update that just hit the marketplace a couple of days ago, because I know that's probably top of mind for everybody on the call today. So just to recap what Marco was discussing, first of all, you're not alone if you find SEO confusing. It's often misunderstood. So it's important to read ebooks and articles and talk to SEO experts to rev up your knowledge of what it's about, because it's only getting more important to your marketing strategy. And broadening your SEO activities to more than just a focus on keywords is really going to help utilize all those different search engine assets that you can, all those tools that are available to you to really maximize your efforts. And then remember that it begins with the consumer, so the experience has to be good, and then it continues with good SEO practices that Marco was talking about. You know, pun intended, mobile is moving fast, and as Marco shared with us, it's easier to build for mobile and scale for desktop. And because search engines now consider how your website renders on a mobile device, it really, really should be a priority for those of you in the audience. So, Marco, thanks again for all those great insights. And now I'm going to reintroduce Alicia, and Alicia Whalen is going to talk to us about search engine optimization from the hotel-specific perspective. Alicia?
Thank you, Darlene. Thanks, Marco. Great introduction to SEO. There is, of course, so much content that we could cover. I think first and foremost, we need to know, remember, as a travel industry as a whole, that we've had to adapt faster to digital than some other industries. Consumers really were quick to adapt to the internet as a form of researching and buying travel. And where we are today now, is the average travel research buying process really does run across, many, 22 specifically, if not more, different websites and sessions before booking. And 85% of travelers are using the web for research and booking, and 62% of travelers start the research in the search engine, and this is interesting, before they even know where they want to go. So when you're thinking about search engine optimization, you really need to think about and keep in mind the buying funnel, the consumer path to purchase, as many reference it. And brands must be really visible at all along these paths of purchase. And we need to make it easy for our customers to find us and able to transact with us or purchase at the point of conversion, which is the website. Now, what's critical here is that along the consumer path to purchase, our consumers are also living across multiple devices. You need to start a search on a mobile device and continue it later on the tablet and finish it at a desktop and vice versa. And consumers are also moving along different platforms. But what's really important to note is that search is consistent within that path of purchase from the beginning right through to the end, and most importantly at the end, where it's time to make the purchase, which ultimately is the website, so it's the point of transaction. So what we need to realize is that all roads need to lead to the transaction. If not, what's the point? So when you're looking at your marketing budgets as a whole, and you think about the time and resources you're spending with all of your digital marketing efforts, consider that SEO is very, very important. A couple of getting started comments: make sure to allocate a budget, marketing spend, time and resources. SEO is strategic and a long-term commitment. Have a strategy. Make sure that you know why SEO is important and align your SEO efforts with unique demand drivers. So if you have a hotel in a city or in a rural area and your demand drivers include weddings or sports teams or your location to area traffic, or what about specific times of year, New Year's Eve packages, Valentine packages, do that keyword research well in advance. Make sure that your content then reflects those keywords as you sort of flush it out both in your on-page SEO and in your other efforts. Do your research too. I often suggest to a lot of my clients is start a search on your own. Look for your hotel in your marketplace. Take a look at your competitors, what they're doing better. You can learn a lot by taking a look at some of the ways that they're optimizing for search. Marcos touched on this a little bit, but Google local places or hotel for business is a very, very important point right now. You've got to make sure that your Google Places, Google Maps, and Hotel for Business, which is all combined into one, which used to be Google Places. I highly advise that you, if you haven't already claimed your property, as well as optimized the content for your target keywords, and added as many images as you possibly can, or optimized as well. Google Plus, I believe that we've got to kind of leave it where it was. It wasn't really a social engine, but it is becoming increasingly important for Google Plus for indexing and search. So I highly advise my clients to make sure that when you're doing social media efforts that you consider Google Plus as somewhere to post your updates, because the good news is that Google Plus indexes that content very quickly. So it's important for SEO. Yes.
Alicia, Matteo from the audience has a good question. How do you do a good keyword search? Are there any tools that you suggest that you use?
Great question. Well, obviously the first and foremost is the Google AdWords tool. Obviously, it used to be much easier for us in SEO to get access to searches. Google made it hard a couple of years ago, harder anyway. So adding a couple of quick tips is adding also webmaster tools to your website, and tying that into your Google Analytics will allow you to better match or be able to look at what searches are done for your property currently. But then in doing your keyword research, there's a couple of them, SEO Book, SEMrush, Moz is one, a couple of paid solutions out there. Bing has a great keyword research planner. So again, I can't stress enough, that's a great question, because the strategy is the most important part of SEO, and making sure then that you measure against that. So yes, there are paid and free tools for you. Thanks for the question, it was great. So back to actually the point of Google Analytics and how important it is. Again, it's really irrelevant, you know, all of your marketing efforts are relevant without measuring the impact to your performance. Google Analytics is free, it's very easy to use, and you've got to make sure that you're measuring over time how the time that you spend doing your SEO, or the money that you spend doing it, you know, paid search ads or SEO, you've got to ensure that you are measuring that point of transaction. So you can look at Google Analytics to kind of, you know, gain that insight as to how you're doing and identify what your customers are looking for as part of their path to purchase. Interestingly enough, it's when you go into your top queried keywords, even some of my clients have found it interesting to see what companies are driving traffic. So some of their meeting and convention markets are linking back to the website, and that's an interesting way to kind of have some insight into how your users are coming to your website, and an interesting way to, you know, mine for business, really. So over time, you really need to look at building that indexing for all of your key keywords and demand drivers, and most importantly, you need to measure. Which leads me to the next point. So we talk about a lot about first booking opportunities, and Mark made reference to this earlier. The Google page has changed quite a lot, and most above the fold, if not the full first page of Google, is pretty much paid advertising. And as you're all well aware, I'm sure, OTAs and brands kind of are living in the top part of that space and spending all the money to make sure that they're driving traffic to book and convert your hotel nights. You can see too that I'd like to point this out, that not only then is Google Local important, and the Google Hotel for Business listings and optimizing for that will play a part here. So this is why it's very important. This isn't a paid environment per se as of yet, but it's something you need to optimize. But also, I like to make sure that I point out that TripAdvisor is obviously something that comes up, and you'll find out, if you don't know already when you do your research, that TripAdvisor is typically ranked number 1 or 2 organically in every market that I've seen, because they've done a great job, obviously, of distribution and SEO and building content that's relevant. So yes, they are a relevant result for your hotel. So make use of that, and if you don't already have a business listing that links that traffic or that targeted consumer back to your website, I'd highly encourage that, because you don't want to have the consumer, when they're down at that path of purchase and they're ready to book, to have to jump off and go search your hotel. You want them to be able to click through and book right now, and if you don't do that, you're basically giving away that booking to an OTA or someone else that is selling your business.
And Alicia, Karen on the line has a question, just clarification. Did Google Hotel Finder, is that replaced by Google Local, or are those two different things?
In essence, yes. Google like with Google, it's happening even just with other businesses. So places and locals pretty much have combined as one. So if you haven't taken a look at your places listing, I would definitely look into Google Hotel Finder. What they're also doing now, Google, is they're going to be, they're starting in major markets, of course, but trying to do virtual tours or tag virtual content inside hotels. And there are actually Google certified photographers now, across the world, I believe, that are then going to, manage that, but there is a fee, keep that in mind, but will allow you then to update that content and have it attached to your Hotel for Business. At the very least, what you need to do is, if you haven't looked at your places or claimed your or Hotel for Business, then I would check that out and make sure that you do that before the high season.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. So back to measuring the impact of SEO. I can't stress enough how important it is to not only measure what your digital campaigns are doing, but also measuring that impact of SEO. It's even the smallest things that can make a big difference. So use the Google Analytics to track improvements to your organic search. You need to have some benchmarking. You need to have some ways to define, what the ROI has been in the time and effort that you've spent. And drill back to what your target keywords were at the beginning. I'm actually showing here a real Google Analytics report in the next few slides of a hotel that I worked on that within 3-month time period has increased organic traffic by quite a bit. So some of the things that I look at when I'm looking for success in SEO efforts are an increase in organic search result or traffic, as well even as referral traffic, because referral traffic, as Marco had indicated before, is a really big, important part. The referral piece is really something that Google looks for, as well now as social signals. Social signals, again, back to what Google looks for as far as, what makes your website a relevant content. That's, again, why social is very critical, and the main point here is to make sure that you're driving your social back to your website in all places. Sometimes we forget about that as marketers, and we spend so much time creating this great content off-site, which leads me to my next slide, we forget.
Alicia, before we move to your next slide, Melody has an excellent question on this report we're looking at. How did you track the revenue in Google Analytics?
Great question, Melody. Thank you. There are in Google Analytics, and if either your agency or it's quite easy to do, you can track goal conversions. So you can track landing pages. You could track off-site conversions. So if you're looking to increase, an email database, if you're looking to track the conversion of your actual booked revenue, depending on your booking engines, but most of them can be tied directly to Google Analytics and tracked as a goal conversion.
Great, thank you.
Now, and just a note too that they're not always as accurate. I typically like to compare regular property revenue management reports back to what's going on in Google Analytics, so you just got to keep that in mind.
Great, thanks, Alicia.
You're welcome. So speaking to, again, I can't stress enough that all roads lead back to the transaction point, and this is just a good slide to keep in mind, that even when you're posting your content on social media channels, you've got to use that great content not just to amplify your message and gather your brand ambassadors, but I can't stress enough that you need to make sure to drive that traffic back to the website. So keep that content in those target keywords in mind in all the content off the website. I just used an example here of a great Facebook post, that's used a hashtag that has driven traffic directly back to a website for conversion. And the other important piece here is that it's also a social signal that Facebook is linking back to the website. So another indication of how successful you're doing with even your social efforts is to see what percentage of your overall traffic is coming from your social networks. Typically, when I see a hotel doing fairly well, typically I'll see Facebook as a top 10 referrer of traffic. It seems to be the sort of channel of choice for hoteliers and consumers. But also, I also note too that TripAdvisor is typically a very high referrer of traffic. But those are really great inbound links for your website to have on top of everything else.
We have tons of questions coming in for you and Marco that we'll get to at the end, but in the interim, we have one here, and it has to do, from Adriana, and it has to do with social again. How are you tracking SEO results from your social media specifically?
A couple of different ways, and Marco could speak to this too if he'd like, but specifically at a very top level, I like to see a change in the amount of referral traffic as a benchmark to success. From all of the different analytics I have reviewed, if you've got a very active Facebook community, for instance, or a Twitter community, chances are your website, again, with a stressing again about driving the transaction point, but your referral traffic from Facebook and Twitter really is your sort of benchmark as to how you're doing, and you can even further analyze that by adding goal conversions from traffic from Twitter or Facebook. So there's a lot you can do with analytics, and it's very powerful right now, and it's a great tool for marketers. Great, thanks, Alicia. So let's take a look at again the SEO in practice. So optimizing for I picked a beautiful destination, Yellowknife, Northwest Territories in Canada.
And as we were joking the other day, there may be just a fraction of the audience knows where Yellowknife is actually.
I'd love to see how many are Googling it right now.
Yeah, exactly. Send in your comments. Send in your comments, folks.
All I can say is it's a beautiful Canadian province and very cold. It was minus 60. So, but it's actually 2 months of 24-hour summer. Can't get that anywhere.
Very good.
So specifically to a market like Yellowknife, it is a city. Within Canada's north, it's a larger city. Now, the inventory of hotels, there's not that many, but yet, since it's even more important to make sure that a hotel within that market is highly ranked in search and easily booked in, as far as being accessible to the customer. So, obviously, one of the first keywords to optimize for would be Yellowknife Hotel. So here's your example of the Yellowknife Hotel added a keyword hyperlink as well as added the metadata in the back of the site. Also to looking for making sure that your Google Hotel Finder Places local is fully claimed and optimized, and not to mention the positioning of the map. It's I've seen it many times before, but that's really annoying to a customer when they can't find if your mapping isn't quite right. And then, of course, the change in search, or so making some of those updates, adding some other off-page optimization as well. But even just regular SEO in practice can make a difference for your traffic. So the next slide shows exactly how many transactions month over month. This was a 3-month over 3-month comparison. Just a recent example. Again, all markets are different, and depending upon the amount of competitive properties in your market, you might not be able to index for something like, New York hotels. Actually, I can pretty much tell you won't be able to index for New York hotels because, again, keeping in mind that Google's only job is to make sure that the most relevant results are appearing at the top of search. So in that case, if you're in a market with that much competition, it's really important that you really hone in on your key demand drivers, the things that make your property unique, and make sure that you're being ranked and indexed for those keywords. So, specifically within a couple of months, there was an increase in, so this is a benchmark, a perfect benchmark, 132% more transactions. Again, that was tied to a goal funnel from organic search. And that was primarily due, and if we can move to the next slide, to a couple of key keywords that we optimized for, including hotels and Yellowknife. So specifically that keyword alone, hotels Yellowknife, drove 700 new visits to the site over 250 in the previous period. So you can imagine then the importance of optimizing for the right keyword, that's 500 plus new eyeballs that may not have found the property website had it not been optimized.
That's amazing results for sure.
Mm-hmm. So a little bit goes a long way, and you got to make sure that you're doing it with the right strategy. So again, I'll always talk about SEO and any type of digital marketing from the perspective of bringing the consumer back to the point of conversion. I like to, really reference the fact that we don't own our customer. We're renting them on social media. You need to make sure that whatever you do and all of the great efforts that you're doing on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, you need to make sure that all roads have to lead back to your website, because that is where the consumer transaction is. You don't want to lose the customer once they're off the site. And, we're spending so many billions of dollars in marketing resources, great content on social media channels and other digital media channels. But at the end of the day, if you're not bringing it down back to the point of transaction and being found where the customer is looking for you, then, what's the point?
Excellent. Thanks, Alicia. Really interesting and insightful information, and we have tons of questions that we'll tee up in a couple of minutes, so everybody hang with us and we'll get to your questions just as soon as we can. To wrap up what Alicia was saying, first of all, be upfront and center along the entire shopping journey, and in particular, rev up that SEO to make the booking happen when it's time for the consumer to make a reservation and purchase a hotel room. And you want to lead the hotel shopper to your website, of course, and then close the sale with things like targeted promotions, vivid images, and descriptions that convey the value that you're offering. Today we're talking all about how to drive traffic to your website and how to improve your website's presence in the search engine results pages. But that said, don't forget that you need to make sure that the experience the customer has when they arrive is actually a good one. Otherwise, you've done all that work up front to get them there, and then you let them down if, as Marco said, you're not mobile optimized, or your website has bad navigation, it doesn't have rich visuals, etc. And the other thing Alicia left us with is that, number one, allocate budget to search engine optimization, and number two, align your search engine optimization efforts with popular topic associations like weddings, sports groups, proximity to local attractions, and so on. And then be sure to optimize the Google product line like Maps, Places, Plus. And then don't forget about the off-page assets. Both Alicia and Marco talked about this: social media, the links, blogs, and others. And then lastly, and Alicia spent a good amount of time grazing the surface of analytics, because it can get really deep, but it is important to measure what you're doing, and there are some good tools out there to help you do that. So thanks, Alicia. Really interesting and important key takeaways, so thanks for sharing. And as with all of our webinars, we like to get a sense of how well you liked our content today, and we do that by asking the question, based on today's content, will you attend a future webinar? And so when you weigh in, it helps us to understand, was our content what you expected? Was it the right amount? Was it deep enough? And so I see everybody is clicking on the radio button that is appropriate for their answer. And as with the previous poll, I'll wait until the majority of folks weigh in. And right now it looks like 90% are saying, yes, I'll attend another webinar. There's about 8% of you guys who are on the fence, and then another 2% who not so much. So thank you very much for sharing your feedback with us. We do appreciate that. And so just a few things as we wrap up up here. And again, hang with us because we're going to get to some of those questions as well. If you share some or all of the digital marketing challenges that we discussed today, then you can really benefit from Visly, which is Leonardo's new multi-channel digital marketing system. Visly makes it easier than ever to create stories that showcase your property, which increases the time shoppers are going to spend with your hotel, ultimately leading to more conversions. And then once we have those stories created, you need to make sure that they reach the millions of online travel shoppers consistently, publishing them everywhere your search efforts are leading them to. So, your website, the mobile websites, the social media sites, and the digital brochures on all of the other travel channels out there. And this is really your opportunity to set yourself apart from the competition so that the shopper chooses you with the certainty that it's the right option for them. And then, of course, Visly websites also make it easy to get up and running with the SEO features that both Marco and Alicia talked about today, such as adding your page titles, descriptions, links, content, and much more. So we referred to TripAdvisor a couple of times today, and you won't want to miss next month's event. We're hosting a webinar with TripAdvisor's Head of Industry Relations, Brian Pea, as well as a hotel speaker, and we're going to be talking about using reviews to craft your story and drive bookings. And we know the spots for that will be filling up quickly, so please save yours in advance. Head to the link you see on your screen. And we're also going to email you the slide deck tomorrow so you can find the link in there as well and get registered early. So as I said, we're going to take some last-minute questions here. I'm going to keep Marco's contact information on the screen and Alicia's contact information on the screen. Many of you have been asking for the contact information as we've gone throughout our presentation. So I'll leave it on the screen, and then we'll take some of those questions that have been coming in. So let's see. The first question that we would like to ask is, Marco and Alicia, if you could both weigh in on this. The question is, are there sources to get a sense of conversion benchmarks so that once you get the activity from your search results, how do you compare it to know if you're, in the doing the right things, or do you need to try some other strategies? So are there benchmark tools out there that folks can access? Marco, you want to weigh in on that? Any thoughts?
Sure. No, great question. It's difficult to say because everyone's conversions can be a little bit different. What we are looking at, sort of a very high approach, is if you're on the say 90% of the traffic stays on the first page of your organic listings, and then the first three results, so listing 1, 2, and 3, probably get around the 65% click-through, and then from those three first results gets probably 65% of it, and even the first one probably gets a good proportion of those, which is, I think, if I can recall, it's also around a 60% mark. As soon as you drop below those three, rank number 3, it starts to drop down to 10% click, then a 5%, then a 2, 1, 1, 1. And then once you go on to the second page, only looking at maybe at 5 to 10% of the traffic, and even that, predominantly 95% goes to the first position on page 2. So sort of those are kind of the average benchmarks right now that are going on, and that's sort of across every industry, but per industry there could be differences and unique, and also what to consider now, what Alicia was pointing to earlier, is that the search engine result page has changed dramatically. What I had shown was very sort of a simplistic view, and now you have paid links, you have local listings, you have video, you have images, so really your organic listings have gone a lot shrink. Their real estate has shrunk a lot. So having that first 3 top positions, obviously number 1 being the most important, is really, really important, getting to that. Mark.
Great. Thanks, Marco. Alicia, anything to add?
Just in addition to that, again, back to your Google Analytics and seeing what keywords are converting, and making sure that in your SEO strategy that you continue to optimize for those keywords, because it isn't going to be easy to maintain a first, second, and third position in this competitive search landscape. So you got to own the ones that you need and make sure you know what your top keywords are, and continue to keep kind of pounding away with your efforts both on page and off site.
Great. Well, thanks, you guys. We are out of time. We're almost at the top of the hour. Thank you very much, Marco Braggio from Braggio Cook, and great insights, great questions from the audience. So I know you are hitting all the relevant points. Alicia Whalen from ideahatching.com, also thank you very much for distilling down what is a complicated topic down to some key takeaways that folks can go out and start to get smarter about and or put into practice for their hotel properties. And as many of you have asked, both Marco and Alicia are available for further discussions. So, reach out to them if you have more detailed questions. I know there were some that we haven't been able to get to today, but thanks again for your audience participation. As always, Thursday is the new Friday. So everyone have a great rest of your week, and if you're going to start the weekend early, have a great time. And we'll see you next month on our TripAdvisor webinar. Thanks, everybody. See you later.